words of Ecclesiastes, season is set for everything, time for every experience under heaven. A time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. The time of mourning is a complicated time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with a recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Gail's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people of Israel and the eternity of God. I invite you to join with me in the recitation of Psalm 23 if you wish. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. Guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. Fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be and oh to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. I'd like to invite a couple of family members to share some words. Gail's daughter, Marla, and granddaughter Samantha are going to speak. I think Samantha, you're going to start off.
Thank you. Before I share some words, I would like to speak on behalf of my sister, Dara, who could not be here today. Memories of Grammy start as far back as I can remember. The sound of Grammy welcoming her Snookies and talking to our family dogs as if they were babies, and the sight of various TV shows, some in black and white, but always with an extra seat for me to join. After years of phone calls and trips, I moved to Cleveland, and many more memories were made. As an adult, Grammy would happily drive me to work, go on walks to the mailbox with me, and invite my dog Reese and I to watch TV and relax in her room. For these and more, I am grateful for the memories that last a lifetime. A beautiful baby girl named Gail Carol Solomon was born on June 28, 1936 in Cleveland, Ohio. That was the first sentence in A Tale of Gail, which is a book of my grandmother's life made up of pictures, stories, and a timeline that blew me away. What I learned while having the pleasure of putting this book together was that the very same traits that I admired about her are the same ones that were seen by all who love her. First and foremost, Grammy was selfless beyond belief. Her bright light shined when she was around family and friends, and it shined even brighter when those she supported were thriving. My sister and I were lucky enough to live with her at separate points in our lives. We were fortunate to have taken walks with her, talked with her, and learned from her. We shared more than just a roof over that period of time, and for that, I am forever grateful. Whether it was our love of dogs, creative outlets, or lighthearted souls driving us, Grammy's star qualities live on in her children and grandchildren. My grandmother was always ahead of her time. In addition to wearing the most stylish trends, Grammy had the most innovative ideas about inventions, modifications, and advancements. She even had a knack for solving the mystery diagnoses on the newest House MD episodes. Her doodle girls on cards and nicknames will always be cherished, and her timeless classics were always appreciated. One thing is for sure, I, Sammy, love Grammy, and she loves me.
Well, I have something to say from my children, Kelly and Jackie, who weren't able to be here, and this is their words. Dementia is a cruel beast. It started taking you far too early. We all have missed our crazy chats and fun activities for a while now. From coloring to conversations, from ridiculous limos with swimming pools and ice skating rinks in the trunk, you always had the best and most outrageously fun ideas. And those memories are what we will cherish and talk about, so your memory will live on. We are so glad that you were able to see you this past fall and have fun conversations with you one more time. I wish you could have met Livy to babble on with her in baby talk, just like you did when you first met Austin, Layla, and Dominic. We're sad we could not be there today, but we will continue to celebrate you every day. Every time we color with the kids, we think of you. Every time we babble on with baby, we think of you. We know you were up there coloring and singing with Layla. We miss you lots and love you always, Grandma. They've included a poem about dementia, and it's kind of hard to read. I'm going to read a couple paragraphs instead of the whole thing. Dementia the thief. It took away your days and nights, and time became a blur. It sucked your speech right from your mouth, and your words became a slur. It slowly imprisoned you from your life when you couldn't walk your miles. It haunted your sleep and made you scared and wiped away your smiles. Because it's not just memory loss that dementia brings your soul, it gives you torturous, unwanted gifts to replace the ones it stole. I do not know if you remember me, the author, or if I've been stolen from you too, but dementia will never ever steal away the love I feel for you. And for me and my sisters, I think I speak for Mindy and Kathy when we've been missing you, Mom, for a very long time. You've been here, but slowly you have slipped away. All you wanted was to be around us girls, watching TV shows and movies while cracking dark movie jokes. You were so smart and eloquent, and given a different time in the world, who knows what you could have become and accomplished in your lifetime. We want to think of you now, watching old movies with Dad, hanging out with your friends Sippy, Maureen, Carol, and Terry, who you lost such a long time ago. Being with Papa Sid, shopping and lunch out with Mama Flo, cracking up with your brother Richard and brother-in-law Sherm, coloring with Layla and snuggling with Duffy and Radar and George. We've been missing you and love you totally.
Thank you both. You spoke beautifully. you honored your mom and your grandma. Glad you did. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Passover is just around the corner. And this is the time when we eat matzah. It's a complicated food because it's the bread of joy, celebrating the liberation from Egypt, but it's also the bread of sadness, representing our time as slaves in Egypt. In many respects, the apparent contradictions in the form of the matzah and really the whole Seder itself are symbolic of the many feelings present when we escort our loved ones to their final resting place. In some ways, we are all like a matzah. We're feeling a little flattened by this experience and by certainly the last years of dementia. But also looking back with joy and laughter. And Kathy, Marla, and Mindy, when we were talking, I couldn't help but get caught up in your recollection of memories and your smiles and your laughter and some of the things that were coming to mind. We were, oh yeah, we used to do that, and how great was that, and taking that trip down memory lane. So we are like matzah. We're sad and we're a little depressed down there, but we're also filled with opportunity and possibility and represent and really looking at the joy of Gail in particular. As Samantha said, Gail was born a while ago, not too long ago, but a while. Gail Carol, her maiden name Solomon, coming from Orthodox-oriented parents, traditional parents, which was not uncommon for her generation. Born to Sydney and Florence, sister to Richard, may all their memories be for a blessing. As was mentioned, Gail was smart, she was sharp, and upon graduating Heights High, she was set to head out to Wash U, out in St. Louis. She happened to meet a handsome guy named Bill. This is what I shared only a year ago at Bill's funeral. Bill and Gail met at Harvey's restaurant and were married at the Tudor Arms Hotel. They shared a devoted marriage of 66 years filled with seasons of joy and moments of challenge. Theirs was traditional for their generation. Bill brought home the proverbial bacon, and Gail was the homemaker. And even when he arrived home well after dinner, Gail always served leftovers to him. They had a range of couple friends and enjoyed celebrating the Jewish holidays and Memorial Day, Thanksgiving, picnics with family. Bill would often cook, famous for his matzah bride on Passover. There's so much more. But Gail may have never gone to college. But right, Marla, what could have been? So many of us know folks from that generation saw that perhaps they went to college to get their MRS degree. Perhaps they only went a year or two to college, perhaps they never ever went at all. But the intellectual potential was there. Still, Gail might have not gone to college, but she certainly put her intellect to use every day. She was a bookworm, tackled the Sunday New York Times crossword puzzle with great confidence, even filling in the answers with permanent ink. I wish I had the cojones to do that myself. Gail studied languages, Yiddish, German, and Spanish, as if that was something natural to everyone. She used her administration skills at the reception desk at Fairmount Temple, and I was fortunate enough that my time as rabbi there overlapped with her tenure. A natural schmoozer, Gail enjoyed her sales jobs and worked for a physician in town. Indeed, she liked being social and enjoyed the bedrock and timeless values of Judaism. She was active in the Fernwood chapter of ORT, an American advocacy organization supporting Israel and Jewish endeavors. Gail loved the mystery genre, reading books and watching television shows like Murder, She Wrote, Monk, Charlie Chan, British TV dramas. Some of the girls' most potent memories were sitting on the bed with their mom, getting cozy, watching shows. Birthday dinners were a special treat because Gail would make each kid's favorite dishes, whether it be shrimp scampi, salami sandwiches, ketchup chicken. Marla, Mindy, and Kathy fondly remember family trips to Niagara Falls, to Florida, West Virginia, New York City even, when joining along when Bill had business trips. There were the visits to Thornton Park. This is when we talked, you got very excited, remembering going down the hill. You know, Thornton Park was like your Shaker Heights Country Club, essentially. And going shopping at Severance, Higbee's, Alley's, going to Ray Phillips. Gail was pretty stylish. Always going off into memories for you ladies are going with Mama Flo too. And that was really a highlight, taking stops for lunch, making a day out of it. Trips to the beauty shop, all those memories. And of course, Duffy the dog, as you mentioned. He was like a fourth child to Bill and Gail. He would position himself at the foot of the bed with a kind of ownership over things. In fact, anytime Bill would embrace Gail, Gail embraced Bill. Duffy would protest in jealousy. Truth be told, moments with Duffy in the house were some of the most precious to Gail. She was truly a homebody and enjoyed being in her comfortable place, curled up with a book or watching a movie. Gail was a proud grandmother and great-grandmother and was a natural companion to them. When the kids were younger, she would sit on the floor and color and play games with them. She was proud of her girls, who represented the good values she believed in, and brought children into this world who followed that example. That's what makes some of this so painful. Not only because she passed on to the next world, but because in these last years you couldn't really appreciate and enjoy these moments together and look back. Someone who was so sharp, to be able to lose that edge is truly heartbreaking. But the three of you stuck together, leaned on each other, divided the duties, and did what any parent would want their children to do for them, which is to care for them, to pay it forward, to remember all those moments when she took care of you, put food on the table, supported you in your endeavors. You were giving it a little back to her and saying, Mom, it's okay. We still love you. We'll always love you. And we remember. We remember. We remember what you were like when you weren't in this spot. And even though you have this dementia, you're still living. And you deserve all the love and dignity we can give you. Sometimes it's the little things. The little things that we do as parents that remind children that we are in their corner, even when we can't change those things. How hard it is to be a parent and watch your children go through struggles and tough times. But there are things we can do. Mindy, I was so touched with your memory about your mom, about when you would feel anxious about a life event. And it was Gail who soothed you, telling you that when the time of anxiousness arrived, when that moment arrived, she would be thinking of you in that very moment. It was such words that brought you comfort and a great lesson to us all. We don't necessarily have to fix everything. You just have to be there. It is these little things in life that leave our mark on others, on our loved ones. Those moments of love and encouragement. And this is how we will remember Gail, Carol, Spero. Thank you for giving me this gift as someone who is not related to her, who knew her, but didn't know all of this stuff. It helps even make her life and her memory a greater blessing. Zichronah livracha. May Gail's memory be an enduring blessing. And let us say, Amen. I ask you to take a moment as we consider Gail's life and a piece of the puzzle that she brought to each one of us. We just pause for a few moments. We invite you to rise now for El Maleh Rachamim, the memorial prayer. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Amsei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, Bemalot Kedoshim Utorim, כזוהר רקיע מזהירים את נשמת זהבה פנינה בת סידני ופלורנס שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה אנא בעל הרחמים הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני ונחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. El Maleh Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, to the soul of Gail Carol Spero, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. As we turn to the conclusion of our service, we note that Gail was the loving mother of Marla, Mel, Mindy and Kent, Kathy and John, devoted grandmother of Kelly and Jackie and Matt, Samantha and Ronnie, Dara, great-grandmother of Dominic, Austin, Olivia, and the late Layla. She was the dear sister of the late Richard Solomon. Friends who wish to contribute may do so to the Maltz Hospice House of Helen's Place at Stone Gardens. This time, we are going to move from this space down to the space of the crypt, and at that time, we will say the mourner's Kaddish. So for those of you who have cards, hold on to them, and we're going to move just in a few minutes downstairs.